Today, we're going to do unlearning to relearn. And I feel like,
Ooh.
yeah, it sounds fancy, but we talk about it all the time. It's literally like, what other ways could we say it? Reprogramming yourself, changing your habits, changing your thoughts. All of it is the same thing. It's just like the stuff that's no longer serving you, identifying it, and then replacing it with something that does serve you. So, like, this could be beliefs, habits, repetitive thoughts that come into your mind. And a lot of times, if you're living more unconsciously, you think that that's who you are, right? Start making that your identity. When in reality, if you really took time to audit, to journal, to come up with who you are deep down inside, you'll realize that a lot of that stuff isn't even yours. Like a lot of that stuff comes from your family or from society or just stuff that maybe worked for you in the past. It doesn't even have to come from somebody else. It just isn't relevant and isn't serving you anymore. You can't just be like, I'm going to be a different person. You have to identify and you have to unlearn it and recognize all the ways that it's no longer for your higher self, for your best interest, so that you can figure out what is. Because if you don't identify the issue or you don't identify the things that are holding you back or your limiting beliefs, your limiting thoughts, you're just going to try to go over them. And that's not the same as like digging out the root and then replacing it with something healthy. Anybody have any thoughts or ideas of where that might go for you? Like this horrible saying that people say all the time, that's just how it's always been, or that's just who I am. Like, I can't stand that shit. If I hear someone be like, that's just how I am, I'm like, but do you want to be that way? Or are you just acting like you're stuck with this person that you claimed that you don't want to be, or this habit that you have that you don't like? Like, none of that is unchangeable. And it just
at,
takes
at any
time
age.
at any age. Yeah.
The one saying I hate, like I heard about it years ago when it became popular, and to this day I hate it. Sometimes I catch myself saying it too. It's like when people go, "It is what it is." I'm like, no, the fuck it's not. No, it's not.
Yeah. It's not what it is. It doesn't have to be that way. And a lot of times, like, there's so many things that just seem easier to carry, right? Like, they just seem easier to keep doing than they are to change. Because a lot of times they are. Like, unlearning shitty things is not easy because it's double the work, right? Like, you got to unlearn it and then you got to put in the effort to learn the new thing. And you're never good at the new thing right away. So that part's hard and uncomfortable, and your ego the whole time is like, we could just go back to the way things were.
All
We
right.
could just stay where we were. Like that wasn't that bad. Like, why do you want to change? Like, you're not a bad person. And it's like this it's not about being good or bad. It's about making a choice that's more aligned.
Because for me, that saying is kind of like accepting defeat in a way, and that just can't be me. Let's say in my world of real estate, someone comes at me with an offer for a property I'm trying to dispo. Oh, our offer is going to be at 100K. Can you come up a little bit more? Nah, man, it is what it is. Okay, if I can find another person to give me a higher offer. Or title company is going to be like, hey, it is what it is with closing costs. Okay, I can talk with the buyer and be like, dude, you got to cover the closing costs. That's all you. Or even when it comes to, let's say, friends, for example, and someone sent me like, dude, I can't pay you back money. Like, it is what it is. Okay, I'm never going to loan you money again. I'll be sure of that. And on top
And there's a difference between like facts. Like sometimes there's costs that can't be moved, or there's things that just like truthfully aren't changeable, or things that you
Mhm.
don't want to change because they're fantastic and they're great. You shouldn't be changing because of someone else. Like you should be changing because of what you want to get to or accomplish. And then there's the
Mhm.
difference between someone saying, I can't pay you back. No, you could. You're choosing not to. That's not a fact. That there's a difference between things that people are using as an excuse and then the things that like genuinely aren't changeable or aren't necessary to change. And I see that Raul has a disagreement. I'm here for it.
Yeah, speak up.
Just with the it is what it is, because sometimes it is what it is.
That's what I'm saying. Like sometimes it is, right?
So yeah, like basically what you were saying, like sometimes, and even if it is something that can be changed or forced through, sometimes you have to check if it's worth getting that win, quote unquote, because at that point it might take so much time that it would have been better to move on to another thing or so it's not always, but I see the benefit in both camps in like almost forcing your will. That sounds harsh, but because I think it does get results. But yeah, I don't know. That's
I
I
think it's circumstantial, which is what you're
totally.
saying.
Yeah.
Is it worth it? And is it a priority? Whatever it is, let's say, I don't know. Let's say you have been smoking since you were 16 and you're like, I've just always been a smoker. I love smoking. It's like, it just is what it is. My whole family's smokers, like, whatever. That might be really hard to give up, but is it worth it? Or is it like something you don't think there's a problem with? Live your best life. I'm not here to tell anybody to do anything they don't want to. The only time that this comes up is if it's something that you recognize as an issue or something that's preventing you from getting to who you want to be or where you want to be. Because then you can change things. Like or let's say somebody's like, I'm not a dancer, never been a dancer. Like you could learn. You might not be the best dancer because that's different, but you could dance. You could learn how to dance.
Yeah, I agree with that. If it's something like internal or something you can do to change, oh, I'm not a dancer, but you can become one, or things like that, then yeah, I would agree that that works. But if it's like something that's outside of you, recently I've been thinking on the if it's meant to be, it'll be. I feel like I've been thinking that a lot more recently,
I dig it.
and
100%.
I don't know. I'm not fully on that boat, but I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that.
I had a
I
conversation with someone about that recently, actually, because it's that finding that balance of going with the flow, but then also taking like intentional action
Yeah.
to do what you can, right? You have to be realistic about the things that are in your control and the things that aren't. If you like somebody, but they don't like you back, forcing that is literally illegal. So you really shouldn't be forcing things that are outside of your control. But if it's something like this person doesn't like that I smoke, and they only want to be with me if I don't smoke, but it is what it is. And it's like, no, it isn't. You have the choice to not smoke. So anytime in, I'm only gonna speak for me, but I have a feeling Jackie feels the same way. Anytime we're talking about stuff like this, it's all internal because that's all you can control is like your own thing. And if it's worth it and important to you is the only thing we want to talk
So back to that first point you made about if it's somebody you like and they're maybe not that interested or whatever, you can technically, okay, when I say force it, I don't mean physically, obviously, but it's like you can maybe have eventually
Wear
put
them
so much
down.
force into it that you end up with the person, right? But then at the end of the day, is that maybe it will be a relationship that you want to be in? Who knows? But maybe it's not. And then you're in this, maybe you end up getting married or whatever, and then you're in this whatever. And then I guess there's the later down the line, things can happen with somebody else or things like that. But in those senses of if it's meant to be, it'll be. Like how much is my action versus allowing things to happen? Because if you don't put your best effort in, you could give up early. Yeah. Even with a business, right? You could give up early, and at what point is it too early, and what point is it, oh, this is meant to be, and push through that specific business versus switch into another one or something.
Yeah, and I
I
think
think
that
it's
just takes like
intention. There is a certain degree, and in your specific example, it's like, why try to force something versus just let it go? Like sometimes the things that are meant for you come to you because you're not pressed on it. Because even when you think about like law of attraction and stuff, people struggle with manifestation and law of attraction because they're coming from a place of lack versus abundance. And so when you're constantly thinking like, oh, I'm supposed to be with this person, I got to make it work with this person, it's only this person, then when it doesn't line up, it feels like it doesn't make sense. But I think you have to be careful about like how much are you really pushing versus just trusting what's meant for you.
Yeah. And I think that takes experience, knowing yourself, right? Like having that discernment to know if this is in alignment with you. And sometimes that can be just like taking some time to meditate, taking a week to think it over, to like really feel into it, to play out all the scenarios in your head. Like a lot of that just takes the internal trust to decide. And then on the other side, let's say it's somebody that you like and you're trying to decide if changing parts of yourself for this person is worth it, you always should come back to, is this going to bring me closer to the person I want to be? Are the things that this person is wanting going to make me a better person, make me closer to who I am? And I just haven't had any reason to do them until now. Or am I changing myself for this person? Those are two very different things. If you know damn well you shouldn't be smoking cigarettes because they're bad for you, then this person's encouragement might just be what you need, whether or not you get into a relationship or not. If you decide that you should work out more, or that you should take more time to read, or that you should get closer to your family, like all whatever the potentially positive thing change is, you should always bring it back to, is this something that I actually want or that will actually make me closer to my highest version of me? Or am I adjusting because I want to be close to this person?
I think going back to the beginning of just analyzing some of the beliefs and habits and stuff that get ingrained in us. If you guys haven't heard of the book Outwitting the Devil by
Hmm.
Napoleon Hill, that's a really good one. And it's been a couple of years since I read it. I actually was thinking about it earlier today, so I think I need to check that out
Yeah,
again.
signal.
But they talk about drifters and people go through life. The drifters are the people that are just going through the motion, not really noticing the things outside of them. But it's crazy when you think about it, like everything when you're growing up is influencing you. So it's your parents, the school, if you go to church, all the
Your
like the
friends.
religion. Yeah, there's so many different things that are just making their deposits of you start having these beliefs or this is the way things are, or however, and then you get to a certain age where you're able to look outside of that and realize what is it that I believe because I believe it, or other people told me to believe it. So I think that's important to take I don't know what the word is, but like a
And
mental checklist.
yeah, an audit.
Yes.
For sure. Because a lot of times it is unconscious. Like the drifters are just people who are just like living unconsciously and just like going with what society says or what your friends say or what your family says because it's just easy. Like you outsource your authority, you outsource the way your life moves. And I do think that's part of life's journey, right? Of figuring out how to peel the onion until you get to who you actually are. And a lot of times people talk about finding your inner child, like before all of that stuff got put on you. It's all basically like the same concept of how many things are you just carrying around and doing that you've outgrown that are no longer like genuinely you. And figuring out where they came from. And could you open your mind to different ideas? A lot of times people who are in those like closed-minded spaces are just trying to protect the way that things are because it's just easy. It's just so much easier if you just do that than it is to expand your mind and come up with a different perspective and look at things from a different way because that's going to challenge you and it's going to light that little fire inside of you that wants to change and that wants to be better. And that takes so much energy. It's not easy. It's sometimes not fun. And a lot of times it's painful, but it feels good on the other side once you're like, dang, I can't believe I really thought all of that stuff, or that stuff was holding me back for so long. Yeah, taking an audit is so powerful and continually taking an audit because it creeps back in.
Speaking of which, recently we had Ray join us on a call and he had talked about the gratitude challenge. If you guys missed it, essentially you're writing gratitude in the morning and in the evenings for 7 days straight. The
I have to
first
start
day,
over.
oh, so the first day you do 10 in the morning, 10 at night, and it bumps up each day. Second day is 20, each morning and night, 30 morning and night, 40 morning and night till you get to 70. And Raul, I know he just completed it. So I'd love to hear
Yes.
what you unlearned and relearned through that process and how all of that was for you.
I think so. It was pretty difficult. I imagined it was gonna be difficult, and then as I was doing it, like day four, I think started getting hard, and then five, and then I was like, really, I was like, I don't think. Every time I was like, I don't think I could think of more things that are different that I can be grateful for. I was just like think like random things that I use, but I don't really use that many things. And then I listed people, and then after a while, I was like, okay, this again. But each time I was still able to come up with stuff, even though it took a while. So I feel like the effects would have been better if I had a better sleep schedule, to be honest, because sometimes I was doing it really, I don't even want to say what time I was up some of the times doing it. Like, it
That's
should
why I have
have
to
probably been considered.
restart.
But you still did it.
I
That's
did
Literally, I
it.
crazy.
had I have to restart because I got to day 5 and I was like, I feel like crap. I'm going to bed. And I couldn't keep writing. And the next day I was like, shoot, I had to start over.
Yeah, I literally finished one of them at 7 a.m. I was so
Oh my
disgusted.
gosh.
Because I was so tired. And then I was like, I had to like just sit there for a moment because my brain was just stuck. And then I was like, okay, I need. But I think if I had a better sleep schedule, I also wouldn't dread it as much.
Mm.
Because if I got back late, I was like, I don't have to do this. And on those nights, I would procrastinate on a little bit.
What made you
So
push through it?
I was like, I don't want to restart this, but I don't know. Just because generally when I tell myself I'm gonna do things, I can generally push through and do it just because I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do it, and then I don't really think about not doing it. So there was that, and it was only 7 days, so it wasn't horrible. Like 75 hard. That was. I think I got PTSD from 75 hard doing this. So that was definitely an effect in it that I feel like brought down some of the effects. But I think I'm already a grateful person, but I don't really journal or anything like that, so I don't really write stuff down. I do generally think about things, but a lot of stuff I think about during the day I repeat. So having to think back, and then I'll think it back to past events, whether it was something. Generally, the past events that I was thankful that I put down were all bad events, technically.
Yeah,
But there were
growth.
things I was grateful for that came out of it.
I love that.
I'm trying to think. A lot of people, and some things are just random stuff that was just like, this is dumb, but I use it. So I could put Microsoft Word.
Yes.
And then some were like deeper things and some were specific events. But there was moments near the end of especially the long days that I would get almost this high feeling. And I don't know if it was just the completion that was about to happen or that I was like, oh man, I can list even more now. But I'm about to get over it. Sounds good. But I can't tell if I feel like I've felt lighter over the last few days, but I don't know if it's because specifically of this or not. So I'm gonna do this again in a month and gonna try to have a better sleep schedule and maybe take note of my mood during it to see if it's shifted. But I feel like I feel a bit lighter, and I also fall asleep a lot easier after I'm done with it because
Mm.
probably just
brain's
exhaust the
empty.
brain. Yeah. So as soon as my head hits the thing, I'm just like knocked out. So I think that was a good benefit. I feel like I slept better.
For sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Congrats for getting through it.
Heck yeah.
Thanks.
I
And
was
I'm
doing
sure.
mine in the morning because I was like, my brain does not work as good at night. It works better like first thing in the morning. But I got interrupted on day 5 and I was like, shoot, I gotta stop. I had to run out the house. And I was like, I'll finish it when I get home. And then life. And it was literally like 1:30 in the morning. And I was like, I'm at like 37 and I'm tired and I'm still sick. I'm just gonna go to sleep. I'll finish it. I'll finish it in the morning. And then I was like, no, it doesn't count. You didn't finish it today. And so I'm glad I didn't cheat, but I was trying to knock it out in the morning. But it starts taking so much freaking time that you're like, I gotta go. I got things to do.
It started taking a minute. It was like, oh, I was like, this is taking up a lot of time.
But
So
do
when I
you
was,
feel like the way you see things is also a little bit differently too?
Yeah. Like it was a lot of things. A lot of things that I'd forgotten about. And same with Raul. I started going back through like life events of, oh man, that did happen, didn't it? I'm really grateful that happened. And then like people I don't even talk to anymore, people I don't get to see anymore, people who've passed. And you just start taking like a very interesting audit of life. And so I definitely want to do it again, for sure. It was worth it. I just needed to give myself some more time
Love it.
because I underestimated how much time it would take, for sure.
yeah.
Yeah. I was like, oh, I'm
So,
gonna need an hour. No. When you get to 50, it's not an hour.
so let's get into some of the discussion questions.
Yeah.
What outdated beliefs or habits am I carrying? Is there something that sticks out to you guys as we've had this conversation of things that can influence our beliefs and habits that have come to mind for you?
Anybody?
I'll speak. So I was just going to say the one thing that comes off, and I jumped on late, so I really want this recording because it sounded very interesting when I got on. So the one thing I can think about immediately is, and I think I learned it from you guys, I think it was you, Miss Monica, but I think you mentioned something a couple of months ago about this belief that we have set because it's like you hear it and then you think it and you're prone to believe it, that whole I am how I am, or I am who I am, or that whole belief system, or oh, that's just the way I am. That shit. I did that. I still do. I still slip up and say, that's just how I am. And then I'm like,
Yeah.
fuck, let me reframe that thought. Let me reframe that thought. And then I think back, I'm like, well, take it back. And I try to reframe it in a different way. And that's how I thought I used to be, but I don't have to be that way anymore, Gracia. So that's just one little one that right away I can think of. And it was
It's a
something that
huge one.
you mentioned months ago. And I was like, damn, I say that shit a lot. That's just how I am. And it's, no, you're not. You can tell me that. Yeah.
I love
I
that.
love it. Yeah. Infinite possibilities and infinite versions of yourself.
Yeah,
I need to give more. Owl and Sage. What's that mean? I need to give more. I'm talking, she's talking about herself, but I would love to know more.
yeah, I'm not sure what angle that's coming from.
I
Okay,
think I know,
I'm
but
here.
I don't want to speak for her.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay. No, just like with everything that I need to give more to other people. And I've learned that if it's not reciprocated back and forth, that you need to stop doing it.
Yeah, that because I feel like a lot of times people think that I don't want to speak for you, but the place that I came from when I had this thought was if I keep adding to the bucket, they're gonna get the signal that they should put some in the bucket too.
Yeah.
And
Or
not everyone works that way. And also that is low key manipulation. Like I know when you really look at it, you're like, I'm doing this because I want something back.
yeah.
That's not why you should be doing things. Like you should be doing them from the goodness of your heart and with no expectations of what you might get back. Now, that doesn't mean you keep pouring into a cup that has a hole in it. No, you have to have self-respect and boundaries. But if you are putting things in thinking like if I just keep doing this without expressing my needs and expressing the agreement that we have with each other, if it's friendship or relationship or a partnership or a business, if I put this in, this is what I get back. Like, right, if I show up every day to work it for 8 hours, I expect to get a paycheck. It's the same thing with like relationships. If I'm friends with someone and I'm constantly checking in on them, or I'm constantly helping them out when they need something, or I'm constantly listening to them talk about their boyfriend and they never ask about me, and I keep adding more to the bucket of our relationship or our container without expressing the fact that I keep giving you more and I'm not getting anything back. And now I have this resentment that's built up. All of that is on me. It has nothing to do with you because I have the choice to remove myself. I have the choice to tell you what I have noticed and what I've seen and how I feel without putting it on you because I've continued to put in. And when you realize all of that is in your control, we get taught that all the time. Like my mom was the forever giver. I never got anything back. But I also saw it in the way that she talked about these people later, or the way that she would cry in the bathroom by herself because she didn't get the reciprocation. And like you're doing that to yourself as much as it sucks. Like you wish everyone could give back without you having to say anything, but that's just not life and it's not fair.
And because I've come from an energy worker background, that if you pour all your energy into somebody who's not giving energy back, it's going to drain you in the long run.
Absolutely.
So I always say that rotten fruit falls off by itself. You don't have to pick it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, when I hear this topic, I always think back to having to learn or unlearn that making mistakes was wrong. Because I had very strict parents growing up, and that transition of like you learn at a certain point that you have to make mistakes to grow. And that's typically not instilled in children. So learning that or having to unlearn that is a process because you feel like, especially it's the perfectionism and like all the different things that come with that. I think that was probably a big one for me to overcome in my earlier 20s.
Yeah, that's a tough one, I feel like, because it's also like in our school systems, right? Like you have to get straight A's,
Hmm.
or if you make a mistake, you're just going to get a bad grade. It's not like someone comes behind you and helps you understand why you made that mistake or what you did not right. You just end up getting detention if you make
Or
like
learning that
a
mistakes are good because that's how you're going to
exactly.
learn.
That's how you experiment and figure things out. Yeah. And it's again one of those we both had really strict parents and strict upbringings. And being around someone who does that differently is so interesting to watch because like internally you're just like, aren't you why aren't you helping them? Or why aren't you telling them they messed that up? Or just letting their kids like fall and stuff. And you're like, what you're just gonna let them fall? She's like, yeah, just they're gonna figure it out. Like they're gonna know the
Mhm.
next time they shouldn't do that. Obviously, if they're in like true danger, she's gonna step in. But
Mhm.
like little things where they're smaller and they fall and skin their knee, she just looks at them like, how did that feel? Maybe that was a little too high. What do you think next time you should do? I'm like, what are we? I was like, should we help him? She's like, no, we just let him do what he needs to do. Like he'll be fine. And I was like, they learn, right? It's not you because you're not going to be there all the time. And so I feel like if more people were raised that way, like I think you would have that, you wouldn't have to do as much unlearning, right? Because you would be able to trust yourself more. You'd be able to know your own boundaries and your own limitations, and also the things that you like to do versus just doing what people force you to do when you're a kid.
Yeah.
Sports, music, like whatever it is, that might not be your jam, but everyone wants you to think like you got to be like everyone else. Or maybe you're not like, what if you love basketball, but you're short? It's like you can't even play for the team. Like you're only 5 foot. And it's, can you just let them like live their life and figure it out? They're gonna figure it out. And so I think if that started earlier, we wouldn't have as many people in therapy and having to unlearn all the things that they were programmed as kids.
Yeah. And 100% Owl and Sage put, do you think they'd be more willing to try things because they're not afraid of making mistakes? Of
Yes.
course. Yeah.
Yes.
I
Yes.
think that's probably why most people too get to a certain age and just forget what they had dreams of and they don't really pay attention to passions anymore. It's really just mundane, getting into a routine and doing the same things over and over. Like sometimes people go a long time in their lives just living the same Monday through Friday, and it's not until they get to a certain point where they're like, man, what have I been doing all this time? And
Yeah.
I think there's never a wrong time for people to have that awakening. I think it's a blessing for people to come to that realization and just explore whatever their passions may be or whatever they're interested in, no matter what age they're at.
Agreed. And I think that's why they say entrepreneurship is such a like self-development capsule because you're forced to figure it out, right? Like you're going to make a mistake. All of us do. You're going to buy the wrong thing. You're going to invest in the wrong thing. You're going to put out the wrong product. You're going to have the wrong partnership, like whatever. You're going to make a mistake because unlike in a job, there's no one like holding your hand. There's no like script. There's no perfect plan. All of these things are different. And so at some point, you're going to slip up. And then you're going to have to figure out how to fix it. And you're going to have to figure out how to pivot. And you're going to have to, oh, that doesn't work for me. I don't even like doing that. I just followed someone else doing it. And the more you learn that, like, one, like Raul said, like some of the toughest times are some of the things that you're most grateful for because, like, you truly learn, you truly build up that, like, self trust, that confidence to keep trying different things, to take risks, to bet on yourself. And I think that's when you start really like just shining.
So, what
Yeah.
are some of the tools for unlearning and relearning?
The first one's one of my favorite, just that curiosity of what if what you think is what you're supposed to be or who you claim to be isn't true? What if what you've thought this entire time about yourself or about your capabilities or about a certain demographic of person or a path that you were thinking about going down, what if that stuff's not true? What's the worst case or what's the opposite of that? And taking the time to journal that out, I think you're going to find some very interesting things. Because a lot of times, if we take that time to oppose something automatic, you'd be so surprised at the things that come up. Your imagination just cracks open, and you're like, dang, I never even thought of that, or I've never even considered that possibility.
Yeah, I think similar to Gracia too, of her talking about being able to catch herself and reframe in the moment. Like, I think she said something about that being like a small thing or whatever, but that is huge because
Huge.
to be able to, one, notice it and be aware of it, but then two, intentionally take the time to rewind that.
Reframe.
Yeah,
Yep,
it's very impactful.
I agree.
Yeah, and that's this year because I heard someone, this one, Monica, say it, and I was like, oh my God, that's me. I always say that's just who I am. So now when I say it, I just hear Monica in the background. I literally hear her voice saying, no,
Bullshit.
that's not who you are. So it works for me. It works. It does work.
Yeah,
She said
and it
bullshit.
definitely does have to be who you become for sure. Even if that's who you're acting as right now, it does not have to be who you become.
And it's also
And
one of your questions said, and I was just looking at that. I'm sorry. One of your questions says, where did they come from and do they still match who I am today? Where did they come from, that thought or that belief or that habit? And I thought about it, I was like, where did it come from? And then I hate to say it, but I feel like it came from my mom. Not in a bad way. She's an
yeah,
amazing woman. But she always had that when I used to go to her with something, she'd be like, that's just the way you are.
Mm.
So it literally, I grew up with that's just the way I am. And it's like,
hmm
who the hell said that? She did. So it's got to be
yeah,
true. It's
yeah.
not.
And that's one of those things where it's like that the blind trust in these people. Not that they're bad or that they had bad intentions. Like they literally were doing the best that they can. And we're one of the first generations that's becoming more self-aware. That's just not a thing that happened. Like they were in survival mode, they were doing their best. And
Mhm.
it wasn't necessarily that they were even had the time to take the time to be aware, to challenge these things. They just did what they had always done. There's this hilarious, I think it's Wayne Dyer, but again, we all know I'm terrible at this. the source materials. Like, don't ever ask me for a source. But there was this thing where this husband was like, "Why do you cut the ends off your meatloaf?" to his wife. And she's, "I don't know, like or the roast, like the beef roast. Why do you cut the ends off your beef roast?" And she was like, "I don't know, it's just how my mom always did it. She's the one who taught me how to make it." And so the next week, the mom came over for dinner and he was like, "Hey, why do you always cut off the butts of your beef roast?" She's, "I don't know, it's how my mom always." Finally, they get to grandma, and grandma's like, "My pan was too small." So this whole fucking time, everyone is cutting the butts off this beef roast for no reason. And grandma was just doing it because that's all she had. Her pot wasn't big enough for the beef roast. And you're just like, how many of these like thoughts and habits and beliefs and like programming do we all just have with no damn good reason?
That analogy is huge. Holy
Right?
crap.
No, I'm telling you, when I heard it, I was like,
Dying
whoa,
over here. Whole life's a lie. No, I'm just kidding.
your whole life is a lie.
Oh man, that's
So
hilarious.
yeah, you're not the only one, is what I'm trying to say.
Oh man, another belief I'm trying to get rid of, just to close. Oh, whatever. If you guys want to close it out, but is I keep. All right. So a couple years ago, I think I told you guys this. Somebody asked me what was I passionate about, and I didn't have an answer. I think I did tell you this a couple of weeks or months ago, whatever. And then now with real estate, I absolutely love the real estate stuff. So that's how I feel. But I have a freaking problem where I keep telling and saying out loud, "I wish I got started 15 years ago. I wish I knew this 15 years ago. I wish all this extra stuff." And then when I say it, it's not to sound like, it's just like I did wish I knew it 15 years ago, but I didn't. And it's okay.
Everyone
My
does.
path took me a different way. Right. My path took me a different way, which made me who I am. So I'm totally happy with every bad decision, good decision, everything I went through. But then I have to reframe that thought like, it's not too late. They got stories and stories of the richest who got rich in their 50s and 60s. They didn't start at 18, 19 either. That's a belief that I have, it's not like a strong belief, but it's something that I want to like. I have transition, I think, in the reframing. I do still say, well, I wish I did start back then, because I do. But I'm thankful for the road and the path that I took. And now I don't, I just turned 36. So I don't think that it's still not possible. It's just I'm older. So I want to get it. But that's another
For
little
sure.
belief thing.
Yeah, and you know me, I'm going to poke a little deeper and ask yourself, are you saying that because you don't feel like where you are right now is good enough?
No, I am very
Okay.
content and blessed where I am today, without a doubt. Always have been in my journey. But I still sometimes wish that I was ahead in this
Yeah,
field.
listen, when people like Daniel get on here and they start like absorbing this information at such a tender age,
Tender.
I have I have
I'm
Medium
the
young, but
rare.
damn.
yeah, medium rare.
Oh.
I have that same thought because I'm like, damn, how
I'm
much
jealous.
further in life could I be if I had this level of growth back at that age? God damn. God damn. If I had this level of growth back then, the things that I could accomplish, the mistakes I could avoid, the people I could avoid, like just the things that you can really just look back at your life, you're like, dang, if I had only known this then. But everybody in the world has that thought. Everybody on the planet is just, if I had only started earlier. That's why, like, there's that saying that the best time to invest is yesterday, the second best is today, or whatever. It's that same concept. Like, of course, everybody would love to go back in time. And whenever I have that thought, I'm like, absolutely not, because it's all of that shit that happened that brought me to this breaking open point, that brought me to that point where I was like, let me pick up this book and see what these people are talking about. And all of it started from there. I still remember that one book that changed literally everything. And I remember reading it at first, super resistant, like, what the fuck is this? Just like kumbaya nonsense. And then it just snowballed from there. I was like, oh my gosh, this person like gets it. Yes, they've been here. They're not talking from like nowhere. If you guys are interested, it's The Places That Scare You by Pima Chodron. Might not be your book, right? Like, obviously, if you're here on this call, you probably have already been cracked open to some level. But that was like, it's super skinny, super small book. And she's a Buddhist nun. And her husband cheated on her or something. The person that she like just was like devoted to. And she just felt like completely broken and had all these like murderous thoughts, basically. It ended up meeting a monk or something and decided to become a Buddhist nun. and it completely cracked her all the way open. And she had to unlearn all of the things that she thought were true about life. And so I think because she cursed in the book, it helped, but it just made it feel real and like tactical and like something I could relate to. But it really was like once you start looking at all of the parts of yourself that you've allowed other people to mold, you can't unsee that. You can't become unaware. And the more you're aware of that, the more things that you want to take that are rough and smooth them out. And yeah, that's so yes, I recognize what you're talking about. And in those moments, maybe just take a second to be like, I understand where this thought's coming from. And I'm grateful for everything that came before today.
Yeah, for sure. And now, honestly, when I see a 18, 19, or 20-year-old, I light up.
Yeah.
Because I light up and I'm like, oh, I can pour into that. Yeah, I don't know. It's just different for me, but
I think also what you've gone through is what helps you relate to other people. Because even take like religion, for example, I don't know why this popped into my head, but there are people that it's like the testimony that they're able to share. You get more out of the person that's really gone through some shit versus the person that just grew up in a nice, happy, churchy home. The person who saw some stuff and had to go through stuff to get to that point has a lot to share from that perspective. But I think everybody has the experiences that they're supposed to have to share with the people that come across their paths.
Agreed.
Yeah, and I think the quote at the bottom, Monica, is like the perfect way to wrap everything up. It says, unlearning is not forgetting, it's choosing a truer way forward.
Yeah. That peeling back that onion,
I
getting
love
to
it.
like the heart of everything.
Anyone else got anything to add?
I got a lot more learning to do.
So
And
do
it's
we
mainly
all.
because, right, it's mainly because of certain beliefs that I still have from when I was a kid that have been reinforced more or less with what I've experienced in life so far. And I can see how it still serves me well, given how I learned them at an early age of 7, 8, 9 years old, and I still have those beliefs 20 years later. But there's also other beliefs that I have to where I'm trying to let go. Like one of them, I believe someone mentioned it in the chat as well as perfectionism. Luckily, I changed up that belief to where not everything has to be perfect, but I did change it up to the point to where most of the time I'm saying like I know where I want to be. I know this is the end goal for whatever I'm choosing to do. How I'm gonna do it or how I'm gonna get there, that's like I'll leave it up to however it works out. Doesn't have to be like a step by step plan exactly to the letter that things need to happen. Sometimes things happen out of place, but that's okay. That's one belief that I'm slowly getting out of because back then I was super anal about, oh, if it doesn't happen this way, I don't want shit to do with it. And it was very detrimental to me. Being in real estate now with Anthony, along with doing my W-2 work, helped me realize it's not going to go to plan all the time. But the best thing that you can do is still get the job done. Just figure out how to do it another way, more or less. Oh, I'm going to do the dishes. Okay, the dishes are going to get done. But
Right.
are they going to get done tonight or at the end of the week? Who knows?
do you know who opened up my eyes to my perfectionism? Because that's a Virgo thing, I think, to the fullest. But my son, when I was like, Mom, it doesn't have to be perfect. And I was like, dang, boy, aren't you a Virgo too? But yeah, he's the one, it doesn't have to be perfect. And then now I was like, he's freaking right. How was at the time, I think it was like 10. I was like, how is he this right? And yeah, so just a little food for thought. A stranger, a kid, anybody can open that up for you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Perfectionism, I feel like, is one of those bigger overarching beliefs that a lot of people have, right? Because you're taught that from your childhood, you're taught that from society, you're taught that from the lies of online. Like it all looks perfect, and no one talks about the fact that they burned it down and rebuilt it 14 times before it got to where it is now. And that's how you're seeing it, right? You're just like, dang, they're so successful and like they're everything looks just perfection, like they don't make mistakes. And if any of them are like real, they're gonna be like, that's a lie. That's just what you're seeing. It's a hot mess back here. Hot mess express. And I still push forward because I think there's two sides to that coin, right? There's the if it doesn't look this way, I don't want it. And then there's the if it doesn't look right, I'm not even gonna put it out in the world, right? And that's the shittiest. I think they're both shitty, but being afraid to at least put it out there and allow it to be like formed once it's out in the world is going to keep you stuck, is going to keep you in that fear state and you're never going to know what needs to pivot or change or how amazing it could become if you don't even put it out.
Interesting enough, I also give credit to Mr. Alvarez, who's on the line. He helped me realize that as well with work, because I would try to make everything perfect when he was teaching me all these things in the beginning. And because I'm a perfectionist, he's like, who gives a shit? Fuck it up. Who cares? This. And he literally put that in my head. And then now when I talk to other people and they're like analyzing a whole deal for 5 days, I'm like, did you even just make the call? Who gives a fuck? You're analyzing for 5 days and they might tell you to go to hell.
Oh
So
my
I learned
God.
that.
Someone else is going to get that deal, baby.
Ivan and Anthony, I swear to God. Same
Yeah,
thing.
exactly. So that isn't, my son taught me in home, like, mama doesn't have to be perfect. And I heard Ivan many times when he told me, fucking do it. Who cares if it's not perfect? So I literally still hear him.
Love it. Nice. Good combo,
Mhm.
guys. I know we're a little bit over, so if you have to hop off, no hard feelings, but we typically wrap up our calls with a meditation guided by Monica. So if you're able to join us, we can get into that now.
Yeah, let's go.
Let's see. I'm going to try different music, so hopefully it works out.
Yay, I love it.
Let's see.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Get into a comfortable position. Close your eyes if you can. Place your hands on your knees with your palms facing up. And we're going to take 3 deep clearing breaths in through your nose, filling your lungs and your belly. Hold for just a moment. And then exhale through your nose, pushing out all the old stagnant air, stale air. And with this next deep inhale, feeling your body hold even more fresh energy. Hold it for just a moment. And then exhale through your nose, feeling your stomach tighten a little bit just to push out all of that old air, releasing old thoughts, old beliefs. One last deep inhale, filling with even more air, more fresh breath, and holding, and then slowly exhaling, pushing out all your old thoughts, all the things that no longer serve you. When you think of yourself and who you are, your identity, the person you think you are, or the person you think you're supposed to be, get an image of yourself standing in front of you. Imagine some of the ways that you hold yourself back. If you could think of your ideal self, the way that you would speak, the way that you would show up for the people you love, the things that you would be doing every day, the way that you would love. If you could do that fully, if you could do that in a way that there was no fear involved, if there's nothing holding you back, what would that look like? If you weren't worried about what people think, what you're supposed to do, what you're not supposed to do. Does that feel scary? Or does that feel free, light, exciting, energizing? And if you're imagining yourself living your best life, living your most authentic self, if you're walking through life, living the way that feels true to you, and you bump into people you know and you shrink back down, ask yourself why. Dig deeper into what you think they are thinking, what you think that means about you, and challenge some of those thoughts. Is this true? Is this how I have to be? And if I wasn't worried about their judgment, about how they look at me, would I live fully? Would I show up different? Would I give freely? Would I love bigger, louder? Would I try new things? And the more of those little moments that we notice, that we become aware of, and we challenge a little by being a little bit more bold, a little bit more true to us, and we make it through, and it feels good. It's reinforcing that you are allowed to live your fullest self. That is what you're meant to do. It's why you're here. To unlearn, unchain, unbind yourself from all the things that are put upon you by others, and learn how to be yourself. Learn how to be yourself again. That's why it's relearning. We're put on this earth perfect, Imagine a child just being their fullest self, happy, laughing, dancing, being silly, drawing whatever they want, playing whatever they want, dancing, not making any sense, telling crazy stories. That energy is pure and it's still inside of you. So, relearning how to access that is your life's mission. Relearning how to tap back in to your truest self is why you're here. So the next time you feel yourself dialing yourself down, dialing back your joy, dialing back how much you love someone, dialing back putting something out into the world that you created, holding back, and you catch it, you see it. In that moment, you can still make a change. You can choose to be brave, to find the courage to turn it up, to be a little bit more you this one time. Start reprogramming the fear into courage. Breathe into that feeling. Breathe into that bigger life, that bigger version of you. Breathe into that joy, that love. Breathe in until your light is so bright. And as you exhale, release that energy. Ground into that energy. That is you. That version of you is waiting for you. Breathe in one more time. Deep, filling your body with that new bright light. Breathing in that confidence. Feeling grounded in who you are. Maybe it's a version no one has ever seen. And as you exhale that breath, releasing a little bit of yourself, releasing, knowing that you're going to start showing up as that person more and more. Thank you so much for joining us tonight and sharing your time and your energy with us. You are appreciated. The light in me sees and recognizes the light in each of you. Namaste. Feel free to stretch a little bit where you open your eyes. Come back to the room.
Thank you for that, Monica.
You're welcome.
Sweet. But yeah, good convo tonight, guys. Like Monica said, I appreciate you all showing up and being willing to share, and I'm really grateful for these calls every week. It's good to
Me
see you
too.
guys, and hope you finish the week out strong.
Shine your
And
light, people.
realize that
Thanks.
September's almost over. 'Cause I
Oh
swear it just
gosh,
started.
don't get me started. This is my 1 year anniversary being up here.
Oh, wow, really?
Technic,
Wow.
yeah, actually technically being a day over, but yeah.
Oh, nice. Congrats.
Yep.
Dang, time flies.
Oh yes, it does.
That's why you have
And
to be yourself more and more every day.
oh, I am myself. I'm just a tired version of
Not you
myself.
specifically. Us. Me too.
I'm learning.
Love it.
Me too.
All right, guys. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks. All right, guys. Have a good night. We'll talk later.
Toodles.
Right.
Bye.